And if you guys haven't heard, by the way, welcome to the channel. You're watching Shelby Exotics. I'm Ryan. Start out with a little bit of somber news. If you guys haven't heard, Lee Iacocca passed away, dubbed as the father of the Mustang, and the one that originally took the Mustang out from the Falcon and created the platform that we all have grown to love today. Extremely powerful and influential businessman of his time. He was the salesman, and he could get it done. Lee Iacocca was the one of the fathers, or credited for also coming up with the options and packages upgrading when you bought a Mustang that we're all used to today. You buy the 801A package or the upgrade, this and that. That a la carte menu is courtesy of Lee Iacocca, which we all think is great because we have choices, but it actually added upsell value to the car. So brilliant guy. He also was responsible for creating, during the oil embargo, the K-Car series, which was like the Plymouth Aries and the Reliant, or it could have been Dodge Aries, I think, and Plymouth Reliant. They were just gas-saving cars. They looked very heavily influenced from the Daimler Group at the time, which ended up buying them. Also credited with a lot of safety things like the airbag and some other stuff. So, yeah, and Carroll Shelby, getting him involved, some chicken farmer dude that he liked. And if you get a chance, check out the Ford versus Ferrari trailer. That's really cool. Get you kind of fired up if you're a car guy. But anyway, just some sad news and the end of a legacy. He was also on Jay Leno's Garage, delivering one of the Bullet Mustangs or something, so check that out. Later.
Hi, I'm Nick. This is Tire Fire Time with Shelby Exotics.
All in our driveway. This is not okay.
Alright guys, I've watched like the 35th consecutive video. Really, we're a mess on the GT500. Everybody talking about ordering one and getting one and asking me if I'm gonna get one and what I think about it. And by all means, I mean, if you see me, you can ask me what I think about it. What do I think? I like the front. I like the front clip. I'm not gonna lie about that. I do like the little gill things on the side. I think those are cool. Finn thinks it's awesome. You know, and I just got a little itch right here. I really don't have fleas or anything. But I wasn't gonna make a video tonight. I was just gonna sit back, kick back, enjoy some Cletus and watch Stang Mode and rated R cars, but I feel like I should address something. Does anybody out there with a GT350 that tracks it, at least for the use that I use it for, think it needs 220 something more horsepower? I don't. I also think it can't handle it. Now, I know that there's guys out there that are doing, 900 horsepower. I just talked to a guy tonight on Facebook Messenger about the ethanol deal. And, 900 horsepower, and he's actually doing it with a GT, not even a GT350. if you do it to a GT350, I kind of want to strangle you a little bit, because I think the car is pretty well balanced. I think naturally aspirated and a flat plane crank deserves just to be naturally aspirated with a flat plane crank, and maybe mess around with fuels and octanes and stuff like that. But the naturally aspirated characteristics of that car, I believe, for me, are what make that car special. Now, the Shelby GT500 has a long history of being supercharged. You know, even somewhat the GT350. They had that little, it wasn't a Whipple, but it was like a Powerdyne or something like that, or Powerdyne's brother there, that makes the intercoolers, ProCharger, whatever. But, yeah, that's got a long history, even being supercharged, but not on road racing. It wasn't legal, at least in the Trans Am series. It wasn't. It was in probably SCCA or something different. But I don't know. I believe in kind of keeping the heritage of the car what it is, and naturally aspirated 526 horse that we can fart around with octane is a lot more fun than just throwing a gigantic power adder. If you're going to do that, then just buy the Mustang GT and throw the biggest, baddest frickin' Whipple or Hennessy supercharger you can throw on it. I mean, that makes sense. But to each his own. This is America. Do whatever you want. I don't care. That's just my personal opinion. If you guys do that, you know, whatever. It makes me cringe, but I don't care. It's your car. It's your money. You earned it. Do whatever the hell you want with it. Now, as for the GT500, I haven't heard anything about track width being widened. I haven't heard anything about you know, the tires being all that much bigger. 325, I believe, in the rear now, and still 305s on the front. It's kind of like we're walking into the base package, right? There's no R model that I'm aware of yet. We can get a $105,000 carbon fiber option package with a really sweet Ford Festiva shift knob on it. But I don't want to kick any wasp nest. That hornet's nest's been kicked 100 times. Am I going to get one? No, I don't believe I am. If they come out with a KR version or something that nips around, say, the 900 horsepower mark, you know, because the numbers mean something, right? Like, I don't think ultimately you'll notice from a performance perspective, like 760 horsepower in that car with the weight is a ridiculous amount, even though I don't know what it's going to weigh yet. Maybe those specs are out there. I don't care. Just not all that interested in the car. Now, if they come out with a KR version or something that they have footage at VIR like they did the ZR1 just smashing the Ford GT's record, or the other video that Jay Leno put up where he is zooming at, I think it's the GM Proving Grounds. In fact, I know it's the GM Proving Grounds, at over 200 miles an hour for 30 minutes. It was like 50-something miles. That would only be like 25 minutes. So that's pretty close. It's pretty close. Pretty good for a guy that was half asleep. So that's my opinion of the GT500. I think they did a good job on the front. And it just reminds me a lot of 1984, where Ford came out with a Mustang that was the GT Premium, which means, and we know we had the premiums now, but that was a big deal back then because it got all these really, really shabby looking ground effects on it and the rear louvers in the back window, which I desperately think a cool retro modern version of rear window fastback louvers is so overdue. It's kind of sickening. And yeah, I do wish Ford would take a real hard look at the, you know, next gen S550 or S397 or 680, whatever the frick they're gonna call it, and take a good hard look at that 69 Mach 1 Mustang or 69 Cobra Jet Mustang, and figure out what they want to be when they grow up, because the Predator motor should technically be the Super Cobra Jet. We don't have drag pack anymore. We don't have some of the things that I think we should have. And we got a locker and a, like, whatever, eating rear end, and or a Dana Posse or whatever, but I really think that some of the old terms should be brought back, and they should have dumped a supercar charged Cobra Jet into the car, and they would have been a lot better off. So that is my 2 cents on the GT500. I know you didn't ask for it. I felt like it was owed. You can see how terribly excited I am to talk about this car. What I am is excited to talk about is that we do have another Ford that's going to be entering the family next week. It's going to be driven by somebody very close to me, which is going to be cool. And it's going to kind of open up the next chapter or a continuation of chapters or whatever in the whole Shelby Exotics history. So, I don't know. This is how I feel about the GT500. I'm just like not wowed. But yet I hear and I'm not a huge Dodge fan. I'd much rather have a Ford if Ford made the missing niche in the market. Like, Ford, where's your Corvette? Where is it? You have nothing that competes with the Corvette. You have the Ford Mustang, Shelby GT500, super wing jack frac, carbon fiber package, wing ding, track pack, blah, 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 blah. And then 25,000 different models of the Ford GT, Ford Mustang GT. They go all the way up to 110,000. Then we got this gap, right? We've got this Mustang, which is a great car, and I love it, but has huge aero disadvantages on the track. And the next jump up to a vehicle that will compete, say, with the Corvette ZR1 on the track at $130,000 is a $500,000. You can't get one because you're not good enough Ford GT. I'm not going to spend $1 million to get a freaking Ford GT. I'm sorry, I'm not. When it comes down to that Ford versus Ferrari, I'll take Ferrari any day. I'm not going to pay that much for a Ford GT. Now when you can get a Ferrari 458 for, $50,000, $60,000, $200,000 cheaper, or the 488, or the new SF90, which that puppy's got my eye. She's grabbed a little piece of my heart, and she keeps tugging on it. And that's the SF90 Stradale, and if you haven't seen it yet, need a minute. But I'm not ruling out that anyone could get a GT500. It just has to be the right model, like they used to have the King Cobras for a little bit, and then they had the Super Snakes, but I know Shelby America's been making those, and I don't really like anything with that solid grill with all the metal in it. It's hideous. But anyway, that's where we're at. Finn and I were just chilling here, eating some barbecue chips, watching more GT500 videos. I am proud of you, Stang Mode and the other guys. Brian rated our cars. I think it's great you guys are getting them. But I'm going to live vicariously through you guys and see how it goes. And see if I get enamored with the car. I just know when the 350 came out, there was so much new technology, and oh my God, the Mustang finally has a Ferrari engine in it, which has made perfect sense. Since, way back in the early 70s, late 60s, when the big Ford-Ferrari war happened. One of like 4 of them. So anyway, have a good evening. Just wanted to get back with you guys. We got fuel stuff coming. Talked to Injector Clinic, ordered some injectors today. And Finn and I, we spent a lot. We kind of spent a lot of money today. One thing we're striking out on, kids, is brakes, except for our friends at Gyro Disc. They have a rotor for my absolutely shattered now rotor on the front of the GT350 TR. Thank you, Racing Brake. Talked to you guys about it. You can't just feel it with your finger now, even though you said then you weren't going to cover it. It's shattered all the way through. So, loyal and faithful fans of Shelby Exotics, my recommendation is not to use Racing brakes. However, my Cobalt Friction XR1 compound pads sold right over here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Tom, you tell them. They are completely ridiculous awesome. Have a good evening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Finn, you got anything to say, buddy? Anything to say, bud? No. He's like, shut up, Brian. It's time to go to bed. See ya.